My name is Michael Gilmore, and I'm the writer of Whizbang's blog and also one of the co-founders of PackLogic.com. And it's great to be with you here today once again. In this particular video, I'll be taking a look at the last part of my keynote address at NamesCon 2020 in Austin, Texas. It's going to be looking at the domain industry into the future. The previous two videos, you can take a look at my blog online, and they were looking at domain sales, past and also present, and also traffic monetization, past and present. But without further ado, let's take a look at what I think is going to be the future. Well, it's a possible one anyway. So how do I particularly view the future? I drew a diagram quite some time ago where I tried to pull in all the different bits and pieces and everything like that for how I saw the domain industry moving forward. And this is the domain investment industry, that is. So the map of the future, we've got sales, which is in blue. We have traffic monetization. I relabeled that user behavior. And we have development. What's going to happen in development in purple just there. But in the right smack bang in the middle of everything is big data. Everything hinges around big data nowadays, and algorithmic switching, as we found out in the previous video, is key to understanding big data and also making business decisions upon that data. So that's all very well having this fancy diagram, but what does it actually mean, and where are some of the opportunities that are available? So if I was to take a look at sales, there's a few things. I'm just going to pick out a few items here. The first one is business models. I think we're locked at the moment into a consistent business model of a percentage on sales. So marketplaces will say to you, we'll charge 15% of the sale of a domain. And that sounds great, but there's other models that are possible, such as what would happen if we had, we're not going to charge you anything for if you sell one of your domains, but we're just going to charge maybe a little bit more on your monetization. And that means there's no middle person between the buyer and the seller any longer. You're not playing that strange game of not be able to swap email addresses or contact phone numbers to do a proper negotiation. Or let's imagine it was charge you 5 cents a domain per month you put it on the marketplace. And that has some great side benefits with that, where only domains which are really worthwhile being in the marketplace will be there. And that means all the garbage domains get washed out, and makes it a lot easier for the buyers to find what they're after. But not only that, is they'll only be facing quality. And those domains will hopefully sell more often, which means the stock turn for the industry will then go upwards from 0.42% that we discovered in video number 1. So the whole goal here is to try how can you remove barriers between buyers and sellers. Just a few points about optimization. I don't think anyone's tackling the issue of how do you optimize between, say, traffic monetization and sales or development and sales. What is that optimization strategy, and what can we do with that? Or tackling the whole issue around legal resolutions. At the moment, we have a very conflict-driven model, which is the UDRP process, or even the URS process, which most people agree doesn't really work that well. So the UDRP model is conflict-based. What would happen if we could solve that commercially? And there's some different ideas around that. But the marketplace, at the moment we auction domains off in a marketplace, what would happen if we auction money? Auctioning money could be quite interesting, such as this week we have $50,000 up for sale, and you bid with your domains. And based on bona fide, say, traffic stats or something like that, that would bring liquidity into the industry. So there's some really interesting models there around sales which are possible. And this is off the top of my head, and dare I say, some of the items I'm prepared to reveal moving into the future. So how about user behavior? user behavior, I call it user behavior rather than traffic monetization because I think it broadens the scope a lot more by thinking in terms of this. Some of the other things I would like to see is pull in more data points into the big data models that we have. For instance, at ParkLogic, is I want to be able to pull in weather information, local holidays, disasters, pop cultural events, and so forth like that, to pull these data points in that can then contribute to working out the best optimization strategy for a domain. For instance, should you be putting umbrella ads in front of a person if they're from New York and it's raining, versus if it's sunny, should they be receiving advertisements about, say, sunglasses or something like that? So at the moment we track, I think it's around about 200 different metrics per domain every day. I actually think that needs to be pushed way higher, ultimately into the future where we have like 1,000 different metrics. Because that's where we're going to get the next level of optimization from, is mining that big data. So predictive monetization, I think this is a really challenging area where we end up predicting what is going to be the potential yield of a piece of traffic and do that in real time, and to work it all out and sort of say, okay, it's going to be X cents for this piece of traffic, and to be predictive in that is going to take a lot of work into the future. Or the data analysis. One of the things that really interests me is the fact that no one seems to be, anyway, monetizing the data associated with domains effectively. For instance, for statistical medicine, you want to know where the next coronavirus outbreak will be. It'll probably be where people are searching, or stocks, or other types of research, or behavior analysis. Because one of the things we're looking at when we see domain traffic is real user behavior. Associated with the challenge of that is stripping out all the bots and everything to get down to the bedrock of user behavior. But I think there's a lot to be said about user behavior and also traffic monetization and the different things we can do with that. Remember, traffic will always be valuable as long as advertisers need good quality leads. And that's why we have advertising networks around the world still paying for the traffic, because it is valuable. Okay, development. I think there's some really interesting aspects of development. We've done a lot of research and a lot of, development in the area of development at ParkLogic. And one of the things we've identified is the 4 key aspects of development. It needs to be, you need to have your own CMS, you need to be able to ascertain quality, you need to have reporting, and then action. So you need to be able to action on the reports and have a meaningful impact upon domain revenues and so forth. So any sort of development needs to be tackling those 4 issues. So retention, I think this is an area which is one I'm actually really passionate about, and I have been for a long time, where at the moment the business model with domain monetization is basically everyone holds their fingers up, say, I hope I get a click, I hope I get a click. Oh, darn it, I didn't get a click. They tear the person up to throw them away. And that's really what the domain business model is all about, traffic monetization model. And that's great because it's really scalable. And as we saw in video 2, there's bringing the advertising aggregators and the traffic aggregators together. But what I'd like to be able to do is have some sort of retention, so that people can sign up for something and it's attributed back to a domain, and then a domain's revenue can be growing over time rather than what we quite often see is a decreasing, as more users sign up from a domain, the better the outcome for the domain owner, obviously. This then spawns some interesting concepts, and these purely are concepts such as, rather than selling domains and traffic and everything, you could actually sell users. So that, let's imagine I said to you, I've got 10,000 travel users, and they generate $1,000 a month in revenue. I'm prepared to sell that revenue stream for $6,000. Do you want to buy it? And so there's some quite interesting things around that. what it's doing is it's decoupling domains from the traffic flow, and I think that actually does need to happen, where domains become an adjunct of adding more users, but they're not the be all and end all. Yeah, so there's some pictures of the future. There's obviously, it can be much broader than that. I love thinking about the future and what this great industry of ours can actually have in store for each one of us. There's one thing for sure: the next big innovation will be something that none of us have expected, and that's what makes this industry so exciting. So there's one thing for sure: the future is bright. Domains are only limited by imagination and desire to innovate. Let's do something great together. If you're watching this video and you've watched this series of 3 videos and you're thinking, wow, that's quite interesting. I've got a portfolio. I'm doing more than $250 a day in revenue from the traffic, or I'm interested in talking to you about sales and stuff like that, then please reach out to me. I'd love to have a chat with you about this, and maybe together we can do something great. And by the way, the person who quoted that was yours truly. But anyway, here's my contact details. I'd love to be able to have a chat with you at any time, and to reach out and just discuss what are the possibilities with your own domain portfolio and what can be done in the future. In the meantime, I hope you've really enjoyed this series of videos, and I look forward to doing a lot more of them into the future. In the meantime, have a wonderful day. Thank you.